Hi, Alf Stafford back here saying, how you diddling? So, yeah, my last little blogget went quite well actually, so I'm back here as promised with another one entitled Desktop Terror, the hidden dangers on your workstation. So, let's get going with that little fella there. Yeah, it's a pencil. But if you know, abuse it or use it in the wrong way, that could be quite a dangerous weapon. I'll explain what I'm talking about. Okay, you're on the phone. You jot something down, you know, with your pencil. And you put it back in its little holder, but you put it back that way up. Pointy side up. Oh dear. Now, you know, you might think that's not a big deal, but you'd be wrong there, because if, you know, a little while later you bend over for something, your lace is undone, or you pretend you dropped something so you can have a crafty look up someone's skirt sort of thing. We've all done it. And, you know, you're not looking what you're doing, and there's your pencil, and there's your eye, bang! That's your eye gone. I don't know if you've ever seen anyone being stabbed in the eye, but it sort of pops, you know, this jelly stuff comes out. I saw it on an episode of Workplace Trauma on Sky, which is a brilliant documentary series. I've actually got the whole collection on DVD. I had to send off for that. Quite expensive actually, but they did a kind of instalment thing whereby you could pay $14.99 a month for 3 months, you know. But for that you get like 12 hours of top-notch viewing. And because I ordered it online, I actually got a free high visibility vest with that. So I didn't even open that actually. I just put a gift tag on, gave it to my mum on her 70th birthday. She has a sort of disability scooter type of thing, and she lives about 4 miles out of town on quite a busy A road, you know. So I thought, well, if she ever has to rush into Boots for a medicine, or, you know, go to Aldi, whatever, she can just whack that on. Be seen, be safe sort of thing, you know. Puts my mind at rest. So yeah, do be careful with them. A lot of them have a little rubber at one end, which does afford a degree of ocular protection, but even so, even that end will still hurt, you know. So let's not get jocular about the ocular. I got that one out of one of them rhyming dictionary things, you know, quite funny. So another little bugbear of mine, drinks in the work area. You know, we all know a lot of people now have, you know, computers, laptops, electrical items on the workstation. So don't put your drinks anywhere near them, you know. You spill it and you get a shock. I came up with a little rhyme to sort of help hit home with this one. Getting quite famous for my rhymes now, actually. But this one goes, liquids and electrics do not mix. The only people who don't know this must be right dicks. I just came up with it off the top of my head one day. Had it printed up, laminated, and I put that on the IT department wall. They made me take it down pretty much straight away actually, but can't win them all, can you? You know. So yeah, women tend to be the worst offenders for that, you know, with drinks in the work area. You know, coming in the morning with what I call the posh coffee, you know, like a red bean or a Costa, you know. Whenever I see one of them, I always say, you know, I bet that cost a fortune. Say it every time, you know, it cracks them up. You can see them all like looking at each other laughing, you know. Bit of fun. Said to Mary the other day actually, she came in with one Costa, so I did the gag, got a laugh, and I said, well, what actually is it, Mary? She said, well, I've got a latte, you know. I said, well, what's one of them like? She said, it's a coffee with milk. So I said, well, it's a white coffee, isn't it? She said, no, you know, it's a latte because it's made with all milk. So I just said, well, it's a milky coffee. Couldn't argue with that. She just wheeled off. And she's in a wheelchair, Mary, you know, electric one, obviously, because she couldn't use the normal one with a coffee in one hand, could she? You know, just go around in a circle, wouldn't get anywhere. So, but the whole latte thing, I mean, I'm not racialist in any way, but, you know, I go to the odd Indian restaurant, Used to be a big Bruce Lee fan when I was a kid. Now he's Chinese. You know, like a bit of Tom Jones, Welsh. But I don't see why I should have to learn another language just to order my coffee in the morning. Another one is food. A lot of the women will bring food in with them. Now, you know, they'll have the latte and a Danish. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a Danish, but it's like a bloody big cake sort of thing. You know, there's currants in it and icing on top, you know. And to me, that's not a breakfast. That's a sweet. It's a pudding, you know. Danish to me is, in the morning, is bacon. Each to their own. But one of the women, Julie, came in one time with a Danish and a latte. And they're all talking about Weight Watchers, you know, everyone seems to be at Weight Watchers at the moment. And they're there saying, you know, what have you lost this week? How many sins have you used, you know? So I said to Julie, like, it's all right talking about losing weight, love. And she's quite big, but she's fat, massive really. I said, it's all right talking about losing weight, you're not going to lose a lot of weight, you know, sitting on your arse, shoving half a pound of pastry in your face before 9 o'clock. She didn't like it. Got quite upset actually, but you know, truth hurts, doesn't it? So yeah, food in general in the work area is a no-no for me because A, it's a choking hazard. B, it's unhygienic. 3, C, it's, you know, it smells. It pollutes your working area. Now, I'm pretty open with food, you know, I don't mind a bit of garlic. Tried couscous one time, it's a bit weird. It's like mashed potato but lumpy. But a lot of people get offended by it. Now, there's one girl in the IT department, and I'm not going to mention names. She's a German girl, got a nose pierced and purple hair. And, you know, when she opens her lunchbox, it stinks. And that's not a metaphor, I mean, her actual lunchbox does smell. And she has like weird hams in there, cheeses and sausages, whatever. You'd be walking through the IT department at lunchtime and it really, you know, stinks. So I used to try and drop a bit of a gentle hint, you know, I'd say like, who's let one go? Or poo, who's dropped the guts? Sort of thing. And she wasn't taking the hint, you know. So I went over one lunchtime and said, bloody hell, Helga, you know, I'm not being funny like, but it stinks around here, have you dropped a bomb? It's probably not the best term to use really with it being German, but and she said, you know, I can't do the accent, but she said, I don't understand like. I said, well, it stinks around here, have you brought wind? She had actually brought wind on that occasion, turns out. It's just a bit embarrassing, she'd been ill apparently, but she got quite defensive, you know. She said, well, it's not my fault, it must have been something I've eaten. I said, well, have you been eating shite? Made it worse, really, reported me. Got a written warning for that one, which goes to show you it's true what they say, you know, Germans don't have a sense of humour. So, yeah. Keep your work area clean. Wipe it down every now and again, you know, spray detergent, a bit of soapy water. And be careful of the water, obviously. Don't use washing up liquid, you know, because it's quite thick, you know, and it goes everywhere. It's very hard to mop up. It's a bit like, I don't know if you've ever used that Isle toilet paper, stuff that comes in a little box, but if you've ever used that when you've had the runs, you know, it doesn't mop anything up, does it? It just sort of spreads it all around your bum, sort of thing, like tracing paper. So watch out for that one. Treat your work area like a partner. Keep things fresh, move things around, you know. I went to a lecture one time, it was a seminar called Relating. Work paid for me to go actually, I don't know why they sent me, but you know, it was a night out in a hotel up in Hull. Got a bit of a bar tab going, about £5. So I didn't get drunk because it was £3.50 a pint. So, but the talk was quite good. It was given by an Asian guy. You could understand him. And the first part was about relating to people, which I pretty much switched off because I could have told him a thing or two about that, you know. But second part was about relating to your work area. And he said, you know, treat it like a partner. And that rung a bell with me because my wife, Pauline, she's always been quite an adventurous woman, you know. She'll go shopping and come back with like Primula instead of Dairy Lee. Or, you know, she'll buy hot chocolate but like with mint in it. Or hazelnut, you know, it's weird. One time she come back with white hot chocolate. It was like having a Milky Bar in a cup, which I didn't like. It's too sweet for me, but each to their own. But, you know, talking about keeping fresh, she, when we first got together, we were like rabbits, you know. We'd be at it 2, sometimes 3 times a month. But obviously, it wears off. And she said one time, we should try a bit of role play, a bit of dressing up sort of thing, you know. I just thought she'd been watching Loose Women. I thought, here we go. But funny enough, I found a pair of old dungarees in my garage and an old flat cap. It used to be my dad's actually, he's dead now. He wanted to be buried in that cap actually. I thought, it's a shame, it's a nice cap, shame to waste it, so I kept it. And I got a pair of reading glasses and I got dressed up like one night. And Pauline says, what are you doing? I says, well, it's just your idea, you know, a bit of role play sort of thing. She says, who are you meant to be? I thought it was obvious, you know. I said, well, Fred Divner. You know, I thought I could be Fred and you could be my steam engine sort of thing. You know, she looked appalled, actually. But, you know, she warmed to the idea. You know, and we get to it and I'm sort of saying things like, you know, I'm stoking your boiler now, you big steaming bitch, you know, and go on, blow your whistle, you big gleaming thing. And, it's quite good actually, I quite enjoyed myself. So I lost her, Pauline. Not dead, I mean I lost her to someone else, you know. She actually did one with a really good mate of mine. Bit gutted about that. Really miss him. But what can you do? You carry on. You have to. Okay, last little part of my blogette, one for the boys now. Now we all know boys like toys, but that is not a toy. It's a stapler, you know. But you see them in the office like, you know, ping, ping, pretending it's a gun, dicking about, and yeah, okay, it's a laugh, but they can hurt you, you know. I mean, they can draw blood, so, you know, don't do it. I mean, you can imagine these come out at quite a force, you know, and that going into flesh at close range could hurt. I mean, obviously, there's nothing in this one, but you imagine that going into somebody's flesh. And, you know, it's stupid, so don't do that. We'll cut that actually in a minute. Okay, so until next time, this is me, Alf Stafford, saying, be safe. You cut it? You cut? Yeah. There must have been one left in there actually. Can you find me a pair of pliers and some Germaline?